Hello everybody, and this is a rarity because I am re-recording this after already, putting it out there because I was thinking about it. My internet's out, so I can't upload the video right now. I can't upload the podcast right now. A friend of mine is going to let me, pop over to his place and put it up there. So it'll be up I'm recording this on Thursday. It'll be up Thursday evening, and then you can enjoy it on Friday. But at the end of the day, I got to stew on my picks for a bit. I'll be honest. I picked Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to win his fight. And the more I stewed on it, the more I thought about it, the more I'm just like, I can't do that. He's 42 years old. I can't. Even though this fight going down in Nashville, Tennessee is something that I think he actually stylistically would win in his prime, like relatively easily, actually. It's just not there. It's just not there. I just can't pick it. Now, I might still, slide a little bit of money onto it, but I can't pick it. So I'm redoing the video, redoing the breakdowns, and, hopefully it's a little bit better the second time through. I don't know. I guess I'll listen to the two of them side by side and figure out if if take two is a worthwhile policy going in the future. Let's get into this. I was just hearing a noise and I was like, hopefully that's not being picked up by the mic. But let's get into this. So this is the UFC card from Nashville, Tennessee. Lewis versus Teixeira in the main event. A pretty god-awful main event, which we'll break down right off the hop here. But before we get into that, let's do this. Let's roll. MMA betting, everybody. This is a chaotic, unpredictable sport. This is a sport that often does not make sense. In a lot of ways, legitimately does not make sense in some fights where you'll get somebody and you'll be watching the fight. You'll be like, yeah, this is going exactly according to plan. Boom, boom, on my way to winning some money. And then bam, it'll change on a dime and you end up losing and the guy you bet on lost and it doesn't really make any sense. So keep that in mind when you're betting. Do not bet absurd amounts of money. Do not bet your month's wages. Do not bet next month's rent. That is a bad idea. Keep it small. Keep it absorbable, and just have it as a little bit of an extra spice of enjoyment. Not a path to financial freedom. Someone once used that line with me, and I'm sticking with it. So, anyways, the main event: Teixeira versus Derek Lewis. And listen, there's not a lot to break down here. When it comes down to it, could Teixeira be an amazingly good fighter? Sure. He's very young for heavyweight standards, 25 years old. He's 6'7". He has an 83, I believe, inch reach. Yeah, 83 inch reach. He is big, strong, clearly hits hard, reasonably fast, reasonably quick. Has some ideas of how to box. It's very clear that he has a boxing coach, which is already putting him ahead of the game at heavyweight. But it has to be said that he beat Justin Taffa in no time at all, and up until his Contender Series fight, he had fought guys who had a combined record of 9-19, and then he beat a dude who was 6-1 on Contender Series. So there's not a lot to say here. Can he knock people up? Absolutely. Does he have some idea of a striking game? Absolutely. Is he big and athletic? Absolutely. That's it though. We have no idea how deep that game goes, other than his defense is not very good. The Contender Series fight, go watch that. Dude would try to do roll with it or try to be slick with it, on the boxing defense, and just get clubbed in the face. So this is a hittable guy, at least for now, and maybe he'll get better, but he is a hittable guy for now. He is big, he is strong, he is powerful. Derek Lewis can knock you out if he hits you clean because he's explosive, powerful, and so on. There's not really anything else to him. It's just strength and power and explosiveness. But here we are with him having one of the 10 best careers of his generation at heavyweight. I don't know. If you were to do a top 50 heavyweights of all time, he's in there. And despite the fact that his game is very reductive to describe, very simple to figure out, it works. And if he knocks out Teixeira, not going to be shocked. If Teixeira knocks him out, not going to be shocked because he's not super durable. He's not a super good striker either. There's a lot of guys who have highlighted the issues of the striking game of Derek Lewis pretty fundamentally. That Alexander Volkov fight is a great example of that. It's a fight that I think encompasses Lewis incredibly well because he goes out there, And he's getting worked. He's getting beat up by Alexander Volkov out there, and then he knocks him out. And that is basically it. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Teixeira. Just the younger guy feels better if he wins it. I didn't write down the odds for this fight, but I do know Teixeira is the favorite, probably more than he should be, because honestly, this should be more or less a pick'em fight. Like outside of this ending by knockout in some way, I don't. Nothing would shock me, because we just don't know that much about Teixeira. He's in his second UFC fight in the main event of a fight night card. He is in his third real fight that means anything at all, because none of his regional fights mean dick, and the longest of them is 4 minutes and 40 seconds. So it is what it is. But yeah, this shouldn't be the main event. This is perfectly solid matchmaking to put like as the third fight down, fourth fight down, around that area. But it's a heavyweight main event because the UFC loves doing heavyweight main events. And I don't know, maybe there's some kind of numerical thing that like that is what the fans want. But I really doubt it. But I guess they would know better. So there you go. Moving on down, we have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Gabriel Bonfim. This is the one that does change because I was going with Thompson, and now I'm going with Bonfim. Bonfim is minus 400 to minus 450. For the record, still not betting on him because that's too steep. And Thompson is plus 295 to plus 333. I'll probably put a small bet on him still, even though I'm not picking him. Okay, so why was I picking him? Well, when it comes down to it, Bonfim is a more well-rounded fighter because Wonderboy has very, very, very obvious limitations. He does not wrestle well. He does not grapple well. He does not strike well in the clinch. He does not handle the clinch well. He is very much an outside guy. He can strike in the mid-range, but like he obviously wants to avoid that. But at the same time, I don't have a lot of faith in Bonfim to actually close the distance, because Bonfim's way of fighting tends to be, I'm going to make you uncomfortable at range, and you come to me. And at that point, I'll throw in the takedowns. I have a really cool little step behind waist cinch that works really, really well. I have a vicious submission game where I attack the neck really, really well. I have a punishing clinch striking game, something Wonderboy does not have. I have a good counter game. I have good power. I have good feel. I have all these good things, but they're all about bringing you to him. There's not really an example where that's not the case. Like, I'm not saying he's not, you have to shoot on me before I get a takedown. Obviously not. You watch the Chaos Williams fight. He can initiate a takedown, but he initiates a takedown at medium range. And I was just like, Wonderboy has good footwork and will just keep the range. Right? And I convinced myself, and then I'm like, no, I can't do that. He's not as fast as he used to be. His footwork is still technically very much there. It is probably the best in the weight class, which isn't necessarily saying a lot, but because footwork in MMA is kind of garbage. But I'm like, no, Bonfim at some point is going to get in close with him. Wonderboy's not a tremendously lethal striker anymore. So at some point over a 15-minute fight, Bonfim is going to get in range. Bonfim is then also going to just smash this guy. And that chance just can't be ignored with the pick. I can't do it. I really want to. I desperately want to, but I can't do it. And as a result, I have to go with Bonfim. Now, do I expect Thompson to have some early success? Absolutely, because Bonfim, I think, is going to default at the start to a ranged kickboxing game, which is the one game Thompson can still fight. It's if you're going to fight a specialist at his game, he's probably going to, beat you with experience, and there's that. But I do think at some point this breaks down. It gets to the mid-range, it gets to the clinch, it gets to the wrestling, it gets to the grappling, and Bonfim at some point gets a hold of this man's neck and chokes him out. Now, I still don't really like this as a matchmaking thing, because I think if you're going to push someone off of Wonderboy, it probably should be someone who's a little bit more safe in beating that, and who I think has I don't know, do I think that Bonfim has a massively high ceiling? Probably he does. He has a lot of physical tools, but I don't know. There's just other people I would have put in this spot. I'd pull up the rankings right now, but as I said, the internet is not working, so I can't really do that, but I could give a rundown of who I'd probably give this fight to instead of Bonfim, but I am going to pick Bonfim. I did pick Wonder Boy on the first go round, and if Wonder Boy does actually win, and it looks a lot like what I said it was, which is going to be a range kickboxing game to get that W. In fact, that's about the only way he wins. The only other way would be a chaotic knockout of Bonfim, basically. I'm going to kick myself. But it is what it is. I think that at the end of the day we have a winnable fight here for Bonfim. There's just too much of a gap in Wonder Boy's game that is getting longer and longer, or not longer, I should say, wider. Boom. That's the word I'm looking for. Gap, wide, not long, wider, and more exploitative to people who are just like decently good athletes, and like Bonfim is a plus athlete. So yeah, Bonfim by submission is the call, and the reverse course for me. Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. Now this is an old man fight. I'm sticking with it. I'm going with the underdog, Calvin Kattar, plus 112 to plus 120. I thought he'd be a bigger underdog, actually. Garcia minus 135 to minus 150. Now, here's the disclaimer. I am not great at predicting Steve Garcia fights. I've got a list here that doesn't involve me looking at the internet, so I'm going to run it down here. The number of times I picked against Steve Garcia and he has promptly managed to win: Kyle Nelson, Melchior Costa, Shailin Nurenbeke. That's it, actually. It's only those three. Okay. You know what? I was thinking it was worse. I might have picked him against Chase Hooper just because Chase Hooper is a guy I don't have a lot of faith in. And he did. The issue is that Garcia's way of winning is still very much, I hit you really, really hard and you go down. That is what he does. That is his game. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, and he wallops people really, really hard at medium range. And the problem is Kattar is very good at medium range and still insanely durable. This guy has made a career out of eating hard shots that he has no business surviving, that no one has any business surviving. This is a guy who was 107 significant strikes from Josh Emmett, 128 significant strikes from Giga Kachotzi, 445 significant strikes from Max Holloway, 84 from Dan Ige, 74 from Yusuf Zalal while looking completely helpless, 116 from Hanato Moicano, who I guess is not a big hitter, but still. The durability is not in any way the question when it comes to Kattar. Even at this point, like obviously maybe physical durability because he blew his knee out against Arnold Allen, but he can take a hit. And if you're not going to bring a wrestling threat, which Garcia doesn't really do, and if you're not going to bring a footwork outside neutralizing of the mid-range game, which Garcia does not really do, Garcia will fight at the range Kattar wants to fight at, then I actually still kind of have to pick Kattar. Unless you are really, really technically good at the mid-range striking game. That you can go in there and you're deft with your defense, you're able to push a pace, helps a lot, you're able to work the body, work the head, be surprising. And the problem with Garcia is not that he's too route a fighter or too stiff a fighter or anything like that, is that everything he does has like such a wind up that it's not surprising. There is no surprise from Steven Garcia. He will work different things. He will work the body, he will work the head, he will work at a reasonably high pace and a very powerful pace. But there's not a lot of surprise, and just like I said, Kattar can still take punishment. Now, the problem with, betting on somebody's chin is that Kattar is 37 years old. He has taken some beatings, and he could suddenly just the lights go off. The chin is gone. It's not to be found again. We've had that. We've had guys who that's happened to, but I do kind of have to see it before I get there. There's no notice of him actually having been. I don't think he's ever been knocked down in the UFC, which is stunning. And I can't pull up UFC stats right now, and I really wish I had written this down. But the insanity of fighting Jeremy Stevens, Dan Ige, Giga Chikadze, Josh Emmett, Arnold Allen. Okay, the Allen fight shouldn't really count, but Zalal, Max Holloway, Zabit Magomed Sharapov, who is for, around anyways, very dangerous. Shane Burgos, Andre Fili. That, like, this has never been a knockdown is pretty insane. And I feel comfortable betting on that chin. And in that regard, I think this is a bad matchup because I think, realistically, the UFC wants Steve Garcia to win this fight. They want to build their younger guys to take the place of the older guys because if you've noticed, at no point in the UFC history has their rankings been so old on average, median, however you want to measure it. They are old right now. And I think they are trying to get the churn going. And for that, you kind of need somebody who actually will beat Kattar. So, like, in that regard, Yusuf Zalal was a great use of Calvin Kattar. Steve Garcia, probably not quite as much. So, there you go. I am rocking with the Calvin Kattar. By decision, Garcia is a pretty, durable guy, and Kattar's not super venomous. So, I will go by decision. Morgan Charrier and Nate Landwehr. All right, now we go into venomous as all heck. Charrier is the favorite here, minus 240 to minus 275. Landwehr is the underdog, plus 190 to plus 210. And I'm picking an underdog again because here is the thing. Morgan Charrier has an insanely high ceiling. And I would not be surprised if he knocked Landwehr out really in the first exchange of this fight or like just very early on or at any point really. He has that kind of power, that kind of speed, that kind of dangerous, lethal striking. It's very pretty on a technical level. It's backed by physicality and power and accuracy and timing. It has all of those things. So kudos there. Great. Fantastic. Now, what is the problem? The problem is dude has lost 11 times in his career. And it's against anybody who is relatively durable and will keep pushing after you've hit them really, really hard. He is a watch my own work. He is a I hit you really hard. And now you need to respect that I have that beautiful technique and power and speed. And you shouldn't want to fight me anymore. Oh crap, he still wants to fight me. He loses in dogfights, basically. I'm not saying he doesn't have heart because he doesn't give up. I'm not saying he has bad cardio because he can, he looks very, very fresh at the end of fights. That is the problem. He needs to learn that there is a gas pedal in a fight that he has to push. He has to follow up when he has somebody actually good hurt. He has to, there is a reason that if you look at the guys that he has fought over the course of his career, Mr. Morgan Charrier, the wins are not great. Gabriel Miranda, Manolo Zucchini are his 2 UFC wins. Before that, you have Diego Silva, Pedro Souza, Daniel Bazant. These are not terrible fighters by any means, but they are sub-UFC level fighters. And other than that, it's majority loss to Soren Bach, majority loss to Ruslan Kazimierziev. It's a loss to Saladin Parnassus. It's a loss to Jordan Vucenic by split decision. It's a majority loss to Paul Hughes. It's a split decision loss to Chepe Mariscal. It's a decision loss to Nathaniel Wood. These guys are not necessarily Nate Landwehr in a block for block make, but elements of them are in Nate Landwehr, all of them. And the elements that cause him to win are kind of just missing because the guys that Charrier beats are guys that he just goes, hey, I'm going to hit you. I'm going to hit you really clean, and you're not going to want this anymore. And that's kind of it. Now, again, he can finish Landwehr because Landwehr is defensively a blank canvas. He is open to that kind of loss. And Charrier has a far higher ceiling. And Charrier, with a very, very few changes, could open things up to being a ranked featherweight, a title contender, maybe even champion. That's the level of faith I have in this guy's ceiling. It's just, I also think that the basement is very, very low because he is the guy who will be like, all right, first round, I landed a couple of really nice counter shots. I did some things. I slipped a couple of punches. I blacked you. I'm too slick for you. I am too slick for you. Why do you still want to fight me? and then lose rounds 2 and 3 because he's not willing to push the gas pedal. And that's why I'm going with Landwehr. I'm going to be happy to be wrong because Landwehr is at his ceiling. He's an action fighter and nothing more. But Charrier just has that. The basement is low and the ceiling is so high. That's the frustration. That is the frustration. So yeah, I'm going with Landwehr. And you notice I didn't really say much about Landwehr other than he's hard-nosed and he will keep coming and he will fight at a hard pace and he will kick my ass and see what happens. That is his own saying. That is his own catchphrase. And it sums him up so well. He's going to let you hit him, but he is going to be throwing back and he is at no point going to let off that gas pedal. He is the opposite of Charrier in that regard. He does not watch his work. He does not know where that brake pedal is. Charrier needs to get off that brake pedal. Needs to get out of neutral, get into high gear, and actually do it. He has the cardio, he has the physical tools, he has the technical tools. They are all there. Just do it. Just do it. Get this guy a sports psychologist. There are a lot of people who still have a lot of faith in Charrier, obviously, hence the favoritism, minus 240 to minus 275. I get it. I understand it. I just think that every time that this guy has had a chance to prove me wrong, he's not done it. It's probably going to be a split decision. Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. So Vitor Petrino going up to heavyweight is, I think, a bad idea. And I say this because I don't think it fixes anything for him. It's not catastrophe like, hey, you go up to heavyweight, you're going to lose. Nah, you can still beat the bottom of the division. But when you are a power, strength-based bully fighter at 205, why is going up to heavyweight a good idea? This guy at some point came face-to-face with his mortality without even getting finished is a weird thing. Because it was before the Anthony Smith loss that he came to this conclusion that he was mortal. And it ruined him. It broke him. And that's the thing is, I don't know why he would think that this is the fix. I don't know. He will win this fight because Austin Lane is a glass cannon who closes his eyes when he strikes, and who's only, I want to say only UFC win. Do I have notes? Do I have notes? Do I have offline notes? Yes, I do. It is one win, and it's Robelis to Spain because Robelis to Spain cannot wrestle. That is it. Austin Lane is athletic. He's impactful. He's powerful, but he is terrible defensively and does not like fighting. He closes his eyes. Petrino will win this fight, but the move to heavyweight doesn't do anything for him. 205 is where this guy does actually belong. What he needs is to diversify his game a little bit, but it has to remain aggressive and bullying. That's the problem. Is that you are how old is he? Petrino, 27. Maybe there's time, but there's no real history of UFC fighters becoming super technical and it working out. He needs to come to peace with the idea that no, he's not indestructible, but that he has to fight like it. That he has to be aggressive. That he has to be a bully. That he has the strength, the speed, the physicality to do all of this, and just add a little bit of technique and a little bit of diversity to how he attacks. Because right now what he's doing is becoming like this passive meathead fighter, and that is not going to work against anybody who is functional. It's just you're fighting Austin Lane, who is not functional. And I have no idea why this is on the main card. Petrino by TKO. He is the favorite, minus 469 or 649 to minus 670. Lane is plus 420 to plus 460. I wouldn't bet on Petrino at those odds because it's just wide. I don't think that the wrong odds or anything. Like Lane should not be really even close with anybody in the UFC. But I don't know. It just doesn't. It does not intrigue me at all. Junior Tough versus Tuco Tokos. This is another fight with a weight class change, and that I don't actually think really is going to help much. You know what? That's not fair. I'm going to say this. It depends on why Tough is going down in weight. If Tough is going down in weight to 205, thinking it will fix things, it is a terrible sign because your problem, Justin, is that at the end of the day, pardon me, Justin's the other one. The problem is that you swang and bang, and you end up in the clinch a lot, and you don't wrestle well, and you don't grapple well, and you're not super fast, particularly. Like you're a fast enough, powerful enough athlete, but you're not absurdly powerful, if that makes any sense. And you're not absurdly fast. You need to become better. Now, if this is a product of him really dedicating himself in the gym, losing weight just through like training harder and being like, hey, I'm down to, I don't know, 230, 225, and I'd like to try to cut down to 205 and see what happens. And we did that and it went fine. Get me a booking at 205. Okay, that might be like sort of a helper, because like being at 205 is not a problem. It's just if he thinks that that is the solution, the answer is no. That being said, I am going to pick him against Tukatovkas. Tukatovkas is, how should I put this politely? He is not good. He is not Austin Lane bad necessarily, but he's kind of close in the sense that he is a bad striker. His striking success is based on hard-nosedness and pace, but he is bad. He's very open to getting hit. He's not super durable. He's not particularly fast, not particularly powerful. He can be hurt basically by just about anyone at 205. And his wins on the regional scene largely come against guys who are actually middleweights. They're smaller than him. They don't compete with his 6'4", 76-inch frame. And as a result, at the UFC level, against guys who are his size, he's just kind of gonna get battered. And Tafa by TKO is the answer here. Now, could this go badly? Sure, Tokas is not a good wrestler, but he is a persistent one. And I've been through this. Tafa is a notably bad defensive wrestler, so and not one that avoids the clinch in any effective way. I'm kind of hoping that he's big enough to keep himself on the feet and get the job done. And he is admittedly a favorite here, minus 163 to minus 180, and Tokas is plus 130 to plus 150. I don't know why this is on the main card, because neither of these guys are going places. I don't really know why Petrino Lane or Tafa Tokos are even like booked, but like they're booked on the main card particularly doesn't make any sense, because what are we talking about later on? Chris Curtis versus Max Griffin, and Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokwani, and Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez, and Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Walter Walker. These are all better main event fights. They're all more interesting and more valuable in a nutshell. Like, you could even argue that Lauren Murphy versus Eduarda Mora, should be on the main card over this one. And that's not a good fight. But, like, at least Mora is, like, maybe going places, and Murphy has been places. She was a title contender. Did Murphy ever get a title shot? I don't know. Leave it down in the comments. No, yeah, she did fight Valentina Shevchenko. Yeah. I've got it in my notes. She got finished by Shevchenko. Of course. Yeah, she fought for a title. These would all be better fights for that. Chris Curtis versus Max Griffin. I am going to take the underdog here. Max Griffin plus 230 to plus 250 against Curtis is minus 305 to minus 333. Part of it is that I'm always a little bit skeptical of a guy who's changing weight classes late in his career. Curtis is 37 years old and he's cutting down to 170. Probably not for the first time. I'm pretty sure he did a PFL fight at that weight. But he's making a change here, and it always worries me about what the motivation behind that is. He is absolutely sized for welterweight, and I think that would be a better fit for him. But it's a move that should have happened like 10 years ago, and it didn't. So I'm kind of wondering, because the problem for Curtis's game is that he's kind of like Bonfim, honestly, in that he is very, very reliant on you coming to him, and he gets very frustrated when you don't. Like, he literally gets upset in the cage when people are just not fighting him. Show some balls, man. Come exchange with me. Come brawl. God damn you, Jack Hermanson. And even like Brendan Allen at points, who is not a sophisticated range fighter, was able to just be like, what if I just stay out here and do my thing? Can you implement a game on me? And the answer was largely kind of no. And Max Griffin could do this. He did this to Mike Perry back in the day. It's not necessarily his default mode, because he likes to clinch as well and beat people up there. But that's kind of the other thing, is I kind of think you can beat up Chris Curtis in the clinch a little bit. So that's kind of the problem, is that like Curtis has this very narrow idea of what a good fight is. And it's basically him stuffing takedowns and beating you up at medium range. That is his idea. And his only real conceptual idea of a win. Or just beating you up at mid-range. The stuffing takedowns part is option. So if Griffin's got a good game plan, and we've seen in the past he's capable of doing that, and just kind of sticks to the outside, he is taller, he is longer, and just keeps working it. Like, it's not much of a margin, obviously, and he's 39 years old, so I'm a little bit nervous about it. I'm very nervous about it, but Curtis is 37. So it's not like this is a battle of super young fighters. In fact, it's the highest combined age of a fight on this card. It is, what would this be? 76 years old. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going with Griffin. To show off some of the things that, like, honestly, less capable fighters have been able to do against Chris Curtis. So I could be wrong. Obviously, the betting public sees this fight differently than I do because Curtis is a substantial favorite. But, and I get it. If Griffin has the fight Chris Curtis wants with him, he will lose. I'm just kind of hoping, against hope, I guess, that in fact he does have the fight IQ to not do that. So there you go. Moving on down, we have Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokuani. This is the fight that honestly I went back and forth the most on, and it's about an even money fight, minus 104 to minus 108 for Matthews, minus 115 to minus 122 for Chidi. And it's basically the specialist Chidi. He's a kickboxer and a very good clinch fighter, and a monster physically, 6'3", 80-inch reach at welterweight. Whereas Matthews is 5'11", 73 inches, and is coming up from lightweight. Not recently, mind you. His home has been welterweight for some time, but he is a former lightweight. And on top of that, he is a very, very shallow do-everything guy. He's one of those first generation, I came up doing MMA, not wrestling, not grappling, not kickboxing, not boxing, MMA. I brought it all together, and it leads to a style that can do a lot, but not necessarily in a very deep fashion. So if Matthews can lean on his grappling game, Njokuani can be taken down. He doesn't deny the clinch because he likes to punish people there. Almost everybody has had some level of success getting him down. And assuming that Matthews has the strength and the physical capacity to actually weaponize the ground game, I do think he wins. But it's interesting. You could ask me before the fight starts, and I might have swap back to Chidi. This is like the only fight that I'm going bing, 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 back and forth on. I mean, I guess technically the Wonderboy fight I did ping pong over, but like I think I've ping ponged over, and I'm not going back. Whereas this one I'm still going back and forth on. So Matthews by decision is my thought. Chidi at 170 though is a very scary prospect. There we go. Not in the sense of he is a prospect, but the prospect of fighting him is very, very scary because he's huge at the weight class and very dangerous. But there are still some fundamental Njokuani like weaknesses to him that Matthews might be able to exploit. Lauren Murphy versus Eduarda Mora. Talked about this one. Murphy's 41 years old. She's plus 420 to plus 460. A lot of plus 420s on this card. Mora is minus 600 to minus 670. The pick is Mora. In her prime, I would pick Murphy to win this fight because honestly, trying to outmuscle Murphy and take her down, historically not a great path to victory. Like, it can be done, but if you look at the people who did it, Valentina Shevchenko, Sarah McMahon, Sijara Eubanks, these are uniquely imposing forces. McMahon's a 135er. Sijara Eubanks is probably honestly a 135er when it comes down to it. Valentina Shevchenko is, at the time, one of the most physically imposing women in all of MMA. Even in late career, she's still very imposing. So that's not usually something I would pick, but we got to get down to it that, like, we haven't seen Lauren Murphy win a legitimate fight, because I do not count that Miesha Tate comeback from retirement fight at all since 2021. 2022. 2022. And I don't. Yeah, 2021. There you go. It's just been too long, and obviously there's also the whole. You know how I feel about like people who have their husband, significant other in their corner, and it's usually significant other in terms of a male because there's not a lot of female coaches. It happens, but Murphy's husband has historically not been a source of any useful technical advice, and I'm not sure that his emotional support or whatever has really been a positive on that corner because I think it just smothers the other coaches. And Murphy's game, not terribly diverse to begin with. Like I said, 41 years old. If she wins, I'm not going to be shocked because Moore is not a particularly good fighter. She's very one-dimensional, very, very grappling heavy. Like I said, it has taken a special physical person to repetitively take Murphy down. Moore's takedown game was neutered in a lot of ways by Denise Gomez, of all people. Denise Gomes, pardon me. And so there's a door opening, but like it's an even worse version of the Wonder Boy fight where like I can't trust Wonder Boy at his age to and at least in the case of Wonder Boy, it's also not really trusting Bonfim to put the type of fight on him. Moore is going to be an aggressive takedown, like persistent threat. Like she doesn't know how to fight any other way. And so she's going to fight to her keys to victory. And as much as I theoretically think that Murphy in her prime would stuff that, she's not in her prime. She's in her 40s now. So yeah, we got to go with Moore, a massive favorite. Probably a little bit too wide. Kennedy and Zekachu versus Walter Walker, and Zekachu the favorite at minus 225 to minus 245, plus 175 to plus 200 for Walker. This is basically a combination of Walker's fight with Lucas Bresky and Kennedy and Zekachu's fight with Ion Cutelaba, essentially. This is going to be early problems because Kennedy always starts very slow. And then the question will be, does the fact that Walker is probably a legitimately larger fighter with a similar physical presence actually short circuit Kennedy? Because Kennedy is probably going to let him in on takedowns like he did against Cutelaba, probably run into some problems, probably absorb some damage, probably some submission attempts. And then Walker, who, when he did not get the submission against Bresky, just kind of faded out of the fight. I kind of think the same thing happens here. And Kennedy is a way more athletic foe than Bresky, obviously. He's a much more dangerous foe. He's a legit high ceiling heavyweight. Whereas Bresky is like, bottom of the barrel. So yeah, I got to go with Kennedy. He's the better striker of the two. Walker is probably not necessarily even the better grappler and wrestler, honestly, because Kennedy's not a bad grappler. He's not a bad wrestler. He's got the athleticism to it. It's just he tends to give up early success. So if Walker cannot finish him, I just think that Kennedy, starts to take over. That the speed, the explosiveness, the better striking, these start to just beat Walker up. So yeah, Kennedy by TKO in the late second or third round. It could go to decision. Walker is pretty tough, but that's about it. Mike Davis versus Mitch Ramirez. Mike Davis is a ridiculous favorite. Minus 900 to minus 1,000. Plus 520 to plus 650. I am picking Davis to win. He's very large, very athletic, very good. Pretty well-rounded guy. Does a little bit of everything. He's a really interesting fighter, but there's like two super unreliable elements to him. There's the fact that he doesn't seem to really like fighting. He likes training. He likes preparing. He likes coming up with solutions to problems in his head. And two, he will sometimes get a little bit nutty with the solutions to problems. There are some weird examples of him in fights just doing something that doesn't really make any sense to anybody but him. And that could come into play here. But like Ramirez he's not Fares Ziam. He is a bottom of the barrel 155er in the UFC. He has significant difficulties preventing takedowns. He has some physical just limitations. He's not especially fast, not especially powerful. He's big. He's decently big for the weight class, but yeah, he's just not the athlete. There's just not the physicality there. Like there's a reasonably decently bare bones game where he's got decent pace, decent meta stuff, a little bit of variety of striking, a little bit of pop, a little bit of feel for countering. He wrestles persistently and scrambles, but like the takedowns are always there against him. And I don't picture myself ever picking him in a fight. That being said, I think minus 4 figures on Davis is a bit insane, but there you go. I'll go with decision because Davis doesn't really finish people. His best finish is like Natan Levy, who is a bizarrely please finish me type fighter. Like Natan Levy is like the person who will just he will explode into worse positions to try to escape bad positions, and that eventually is going to bait him into getting finished. Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez. Klein is the biggest favorite on the card. This is a step back from her, from Victoria Dudikova, frankly. Martinez is too small. She's an atom weight. So the minus 1100 to minus 1205, it feels about right on Klein. Plus 600 to plus 750 on Martinez. Obviously, I'm picking Klein. Martinez got manhandled and taken down pretty easily by Elise Reed. Klein will be able to do the same thing, I would generally suspect. Martinez might be the better striker of the two, but she's not a lethal striker. She's a punches and bunches volume striker, which again makes sense because she's an atom weight. But yeah, she's not going to be able to keep the range because she's 4 inches shorter and 1 inch less in reach. So it's not like she has a range, and Klein should be able to get the clinches, the takedown options that she generally thrives on. She has a very dangerous, very punishing top game. She'll take opportunistic submissions, but she will actually work pretty good ground and pound, which is a bit weird at the strawweight division. She's a major like up and comer in this division. Honestly, she's 25 years old. I think the future is incredibly bright, and it's well beyond Melissa Martinez. And like I said, Dudikova I think was a bigger challenge because at least like Dudikova is like big and strong for the weight class, even if like she was dealt with very very easily. Martinez just, I don't know what question Martinez is asking of Klein, I guess. So I'm not big on the match, but hey, a squash match to open up the card is not the worst thing in the world. So that is the predictions. I will be watching this card live, assuming I have internet then, and I will be doing the Twitter and possibly Blue Sky play-by-play. Not play-by-play, but like impressions around. I'll summarize the rounds. I'll score the rounds. If you've been paying attention to my Twitter, you've seen exactly what I'm talking about. So there you go. And links are down below for social medias and stuff. And if the Blue Sky is missing from the link tree, because obviously I haven't made it yet, it's assuming I can get it. It's going to be Mio on MMA, just on Blue Sky. Same as my Twitter. Anyways. Have a good day. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope the doing this a second time didn't rob the analysis of any oomph. There we go.